Hello, and welcome to the Podcast Engineering Show. My name is Chris Curran. I produce podcasts for companies, and I also teach at Podcast Engineering School. On this show, we bring you podcast production techniques on a silver platter. Yeah, we really talk shop about audio production for podcasts, and we go really deep. We alternate between interview episodes with podcast producers and engineers, and then daily Goody episodes like this one, where I'm going to talk about 9 or 10 of the daily Goody blog posts that I write. And you can sign up to receive the daily goodies via email. You can get them either daily or I wonder if you can hear me clicking my mouse. It sounds loud to me. But you can receive the daily goodies as like a weekly roundup, or you can get it every time I post one, which is typically around 3 times per week. A couple quick things before we get into going over these 9 daily goodies for today. The next semester of Podcast Engineering School starts September 14th, 2021. September 14th, 2021, we start PES. All the details are on the website, podcastengineeringschool.com. And I also want to talk about Focusrite, the Scarlett series of interfaces. The Scarlett series is now in its 3rd generation, and it's the world's best-selling USB interface range with over 3 million units sold worldwide. Yeah, Focusrite is a sponsor of the show. Thank you, Focusrite. And although this is the second to last Focusrite ad you'll ever hear, but the guys at Focusrite are great. You know, as an audio engineer coming from the music business, I'm very familiar with the company Focusrite and familiar with their quality. And the Scarlett series of interfaces is really great. There's 6 different interfaces you can choose with 1 input, 2 inputs, 4, 8 inputs. Really good sound quality. Works with whatever software you're already using. Works with any type of XLR microphone. And they have a loopback little application that lets you record Skype calls and Zoom calls directly into your DAW software. So there's no like funny workarounds. It just does it. It's pretty cool. And the new air feature in the 3rd gen units is really cool for microphones that might be a little dark because the air feature adds brightness and presence. So I'll put a link in the description. If you want to look at the Focusrite interfaces, just click that link. And that's it. So let's start with the daily goodies. The first one is actually from February 5th, 2021. When editing, are you able to quickly highlight a single mouth click and delete it? I'll repeat it. When editing, are you able to quickly highlight a single mouth click and delete it? So the reason I wrote a daily goodie about this is because I use Reaper as my DAW, and making really detailed edits in Reaper, it's not the quickest thing in the world to do. So you can zoom in and you can, split the clip and delete something and ripple edit. You can do all that in Reaper and other DAWs. But and it's maybe because I'm old school, I really like doing the detailed editing in a separate software. So I typically use Twisted Wave or SoundForge Pro to after I mix down the episode, I'll bring it into Twisted Wave or SoundForge Pro. And then because there I'm able to like zoom in really quickly, I can literally highlight a mouth click and just hit the delete key and it's gone. It's so fast to just make edits, to cut out space and everything. That's how I prefer to do my detail editing. Now, I know lots of people do the editing in the DAW, and that's great. If you especially if you can do it quickly and efficiently, right? That's really good. For those of you who are using Adobe Audition, of course, you sort of have the best of both worlds because there's a detail editor in Audition. I think they call it the waveform editor. So anyway, I just like being able to edit quickly and zoom in and out quickly and all that. And in my DAW, that's a little difficult to do. I mean, maybe it's possible. It's possible that I just don't know how to do it, but it is different. Using Twisted Wave or SoundForge Pro or something like that, it's just different. It's a different feel, and I feel like in those software, I can just zoom around and I can really just make a lot of edits quickly. And it's for me and my workflow, I like that. So anyway, that's a daily goodie. And don't forget all the links to these daily goodies are going to be in the show notes. So if you want to comment on that daily goodie, are you able to highlight a single mouth click and delete it quickly when you're editing? If you want to comment on that daily goodie post, let me know how you handle that. I'm curious. I'm always curious, as you know, because I interview people and I'm curious about their audio production all the time. Okay, next. High mid frequency clarity versus harshness. High mid frequency clarity versus harshness. Yeah, so there's, so in the high mid frequencies, so we're talking about maybe from 2 to 4 kilohertz, although maybe you could even go down to 1.5 kilohertz, and maybe you could go up to, 5 kilohertz, something like that. That's what is considered the high mid frequencies. And that's a critical area in audio because that's the range of frequencies where a lot of the clarity is, but also if you have too much in that area, then it gets really harsh. It sounds harsh and grating and can actually cause pain. So that 3 to 4 kilohertz range is the pain range. And so anyway, it's just one of the ranges of the frequency spectrum that's really good to make sure you have it under control, make sure it's not too accentuated or too low. So it's a balance, and with every voice it's different. So, if a voice sounds a little bit dull and lacking clarity, you can try adding a little bit in that frequency range. But if something sounds harsh, it's like it almost hurts your ears, you could try pulling some out in that area. So a very critical area, and it's not part of this daily goodie, but I'll tell you the other critical area is the low mids. Yeah, so we just were talking about the high mids from 2 to 4 kilohertz. The low mids is another area that is pretty vital to make sure you have it right. And that's from about, 200 hertz to 500 hertz, something like that. Anyway, when it comes to EQing, the simplest way to go about EQing is to sort of break up the frequency spectrum into 5 zones. You got your low, then you got the low mid, then you got the mid range, then you got the high mids, and then you have the high frequencies. So in general, that's like the sort of the simplest way to break it up and to understand it. And then, yeah. Anyway, all right, next. Benefits of attending live interactive classes on podcast production. Yeah, the benefits of attending live interactive classes on podcast production. So, as you probably know, I teach at Podcast Engineering School, which we do live interactive classes. And that's part of the reason I wrote this because, teaching in a live interactive class is great because students can have questions and you can answer them on the spot, right? As opposed to if someone's watching a video of a lesson, like a pre-recorded video lesson, they can't really ask a question, on the spot. So in terms of teaching, it's really helpful. And in terms of learning, it's really helpful. So I don't know. So many people over the years have told me that I should make my Podcast Engineering School an on-demand course. And I just can't do it. I can't do it. There's too much that I teach. I go way too deep. It's 14 hours of lectures, 14 plus hours of lecture time. So I'm sorry. I would not feel right putting that out into the world as an on-demand course because students are going to have many questions, not just a few, many. And the other thing about my school is that it's almost like a mentorship as well. There's a mentorship aspect to it. And obviously being there live face-to-face is really great. So I don't know. I think there's a place for on-demand courses. I really do. I've taken them in the past, and I actually created one. I have a smaller course called Getting New Clients at Higher Rates. And that is an on-demand course, but it's much shorter and it's much more focused, right, on getting new clients at higher rates. So anyway, curious what you think about that kind of thing, about teaching or learning in live classes versus on demand. Okay, next daily goodie is 32-bit floating point explained by Alan at SoundSpeeds. Yeah, SoundSpeeds is a YouTube channel, and he made a great video explaining 32-bit floating point, which is it's a bit depth that you can record in, and it's really cool because, well, as far as I understand it, it's impossible to distort the audio signal no matter how loud it gets because of the way the 32-bit floating point handles the level and handles the analog to digital conversion. It apparently, even if you overdrive it, you go way above digital zero, it's not going to distort, which is unbelievable. So anyway, the video, if you really want in-depth knowledge of 32-bit floating point, go to this daily goodie. Again, the link to all the daily goodies are in the show notes here, and watch Alan's video is embedded in the post. You just click play, and then, yeah. So 32-bit floating point, and the Sound Devices Mix Pre 2nd Gen units have 32-bit floating point as an option to record in. So I actually have a 1st generation Mix Pre, which does not have that, but the 2nd gen does. And I just love my Mix Pre. I mean, at some point I'll buy a Gen 2, but I mean, I have this one. I love it. It's one of the best pieces of gear I've ever purchased. Okay, next daily goodie. Ultimate Ears. Ultimate Ears, professional in-ear monitors. Yeah, so several people I know have purchased these Ultimate Ears, and they love them. Michelle Levitt, who is the creative marketing director at Heil. Marcus DePaula, audio engineer and podcast producer at Me Only Louder. And also a graduate of podcast engineering school, Ed Sullivan from Sonic Cupcake. All of them, all those three and probably more people use these Ultimate Ears. They're in-ear monitors, and they're actually fitted to your ears. You have to go somewhere, like to a doctor, and get like some sort of mold poured into your ear. And they basically take a mold of your ear, and then they custom make the in-ear monitors, so they literally fit perfectly in your ear. And I've never tried them, but I really want to. So at some point, I'm going to get some of these in-ear monitors. It's just really cool. Just so cool. And then, of course, a lot of people, well, I should say when bands perform live, the musicians, monitor using in-ear monitors, right? That's been going on for many years. But also in the studio, a lot of people in their home or in their studio when they're producing podcasts, it's, instead of wearing headphones, they can just put these in-ear monitors in, and they feel great, and apparently they sound really good. They're pretty flat, meaning that what you hear is what you get, kind of thing, which is what, as engineers and producers, that's what we want, right? We don't want colored sound. We don't want a bunch of bass added and a bunch of high end added so it sounds awesome, dude. No, we don't want that. We want flat. We want to hear a flat frequency response. So anyway, Ultimate Ears. Someday I'm going to try them. Next daily goodie. Oh, this is a cool one. So I do some live streaming for different projects and different things. And I was going to start a reaction channel. And I was going to do reaction videos with someone over the internet. And I was going to record it all live. And so one thing I was doing when I was going to YouTube and playing videos that I wanted to react to, sometimes the videos would be a nice, good volume, but sometimes the videos that I wanted to react to were really low volume, surprisingly low in volume, like maybe 10 dB lower than it should be. So what I did is I found this, it's an extension for Chrome and Brave browser. So it's a browser extension. It's called Volume Master. And it's so cool because right in your browser, right inside of Chrome or Brave, and I highly do not recommend using Chrome anymore. If you can get rid of Chrome, or if you can get away from Chrome, that's great. And Brave is exactly the same as Chrome, by the way, without all the spyware. So you can use Brave And there's other browsers too, but Brave is really cool. Anyway, and Brave is built on the original Chrome code, so it's exactly like Chrome, but without all the Google spyware. So anyway, Volume Master is the name of the extension, and it's so cool because right in the browser, you can any tab in the browser, you can boost the volume up or bring it down. It's like a volume control for each tab in your browser. Really cool, really handy for some situations where you might want to boost the level of a video you're playing back, and you might not know how to do that, but with that Chrome extension, it works really well. I really liked it. And it's free, so, Okay, next, Daily Goody. Oh, using the Oxford Inflator to bring a guest's voice closer. Using the Oxford Inflator to bring a guest's voice closer. So, okay, as we all know in podcast production, a lot of times guests, well, sometimes they don't even have a real microphone. But even if they do have a real microphone, a lot of times their microphone technique is not that good, so they drift away from the mic, and sometimes they even stay like a foot away from the mic or more. So a lot of times a guest can sound a little bit distant, right? They're a little bit away from their mic. And there's a plugin by this company called Sonnox, 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 and it's called the Oxford Inflator. And this is a really cool plugin. It's really hard to describe what it does. I've talked about it before. I had another Daily Goody on the plugin itself. But basically, if one of the participants in the episode is like right on top of their microphone and sounds really close and good, but the other person is like seems distant, obviously you can use compression to bring them closer. But this Oxford Inflator, it sort of adds it's kind of like it adds saturation, and it also brings the voice closer. And by the way, I'm not the only one having trouble describing the Oxford Inflator. On their website, even they're like, yeah, it's a little hard to explain. Yeah, so it basically, here's the description from the Sonnox webpage. A unique and powerful plugin to increase loudness without sacrificing sonic quality or dynamic range. Add power and presence to your mix without the pumping of compression, or use on individual channels to bring them forward and add weight. Perfect to help vocals cut through the mix. Anyway, it's just, I don't know. I love the Oxford Inflator. It's one of those plugins that it's just, I'm very happy to have it in my toolbox because when I need it and I want it, it just works great, and I just love it. So, all right, and I think this is going to be the last one. Yeah, this is going to be the last one. Oh, this is a funny one. All right. Guests, if you own a decent microphone, please use it. Yeah, believe it or not, there are guests who have like a good mic and a good audio setup, but like when they're a guest on another show, they'll just connect with their earbuds and it'll just sound terrible. And it's like, if you have a good microphone, please use it. I mean, I know that sounds so stupid. I've been on many sessions over the past 6 years where people, I'll be like, oh, what kind of microphone are you using? And they'll be like, oh, I'm just using my earbuds. Oh yeah, but I have a Shure SM7B right here too. And I'm like, is it possible? Because you have to ask nicely, of course. Is it possible that you can use your SM7B? Oh, so weird. I don't know. A lot of people skills involved with sound checking people and recording podcasts, and it's been a great learning experience for me. Typically, let's put it this way. I'm not the most patient person in the world, but when it comes to working with clients and their guests, of course, I am very patient, right? But sometimes inside my own head, I'm like, oh my God, for the love of Pete. But of course, I never say it out loud. But all right, well, that's it for this episode. I appreciate you. If you want to ask me any questions about audio production for podcasts, go to the website, podcastengineeringschool.com, and there's a contact page. Just send me a note. And even if you don't have a question, if you just want to say hi. Thank you. Recently, a lot of you have emailed and said hello. So thank you for that. And if you haven't emailed me yet just to say hello, feel free. I love to hear from the listeners. Don't forget, I mentioned the smaller course, Getting New Clients at Higher Rates. If you are, a podcast editor or a podcast producer and you really want to grow your business and get a lot more clients and actually get clients like at double the rate you're charging now or triple or quadruple, that's what that course is for. It's really great. And okay, and then I hate to end on some sad news, but if you've been listening to the show for a little while, the past 4 or 5 months, I started a group on Locals for podcast production. And Locals is a great platform. But anyway, I started a group over there for podcast production, and I was posting there almost every day, like at least 4 times a week. And it's a cool platform, but anyway, it just really didn't catch on. I mean, I know I invited all you guys to come over there and become a member, to join the group and everything, but not many people did end up going over there and doing it. So I actually discontinued that group. So the Locals group does not exist anymore, which is a shame because that was a really cool group. I mean, picture it this way, like the best Facebook group you've ever been a part of, but then like 100 times better than that, because Facebook is Facebook, right? It's just annoying as anything. So anyway, that's a little sad news that the local group has been discontinued, but it's okay. I told you before, when I started the group in Locals, I actually didn't even realize how Locals worked. I didn't know that. Anyway, I didn't know how it worked. We don't have to talk about it because it's not there anymore. All right, well, that's it. Don't forget, next semester of PES starts September 14th, 2021, and that's it. Thanks for listening. All the links to each and every daily goodie that I talked about in this episode, each and every link is in the show notes here. So feel free to click through and read the daily goodies and comment on them. All right, and I hope you've been enjoying some of these interviews I've done recently over the past couple months. I mean, some real amazing episodes, in my opinion. Holy cow! Even Steve Stewart wrote me a note and said, "Dude, the one with Martine was exceptional." And I was like, "Dude, thank you." And I got a great one coming out next week. And then I got another daily goodie one. In August, I'm going to put out a few more episodes. So, all right, that's it. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Do not be afraid. All right. See you guys. Bye.